Kathleen Madigan, because we're starting with the data. We're starting with the data here in New York. A lot of data out this morning, yet didn't look very good.
No,
I mean,
no.
let's actually sort of work a little bit backwards. Let's start with the 10 a.m. data because that was the more recent stuff. Get to the jobless claims. The 10 we had a trifecta at 10 a.m. Not very good though, right?
No. Existing home sales fell when people thought they were going to rise. The Philly Fed manufacturing survey showed weaker conditions, and leading index came in
we're a little bit
better.
higher, right?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, the housing numbers were, I think, the biggest surprise there, right?
Yeah, and they tried to put a positive spin on it by saying, well, the first quarter average was the best since 2007, but of course, weather helped the January and February numbers, and so the March, it really shows that housing remains this big albatross around the economy's neck, and it. Because the Fed is so focused on housing, this really keeps QE3 on the table.
And this is a concern too, because we're going to the spring selling season, right?
Yeah.
So this is a really key focus.
Yeah, and even though they obviously seasonally adjust for the spring selling season, but you're right, it shows there's just not a lot of demand out there. Even though confidence has been improving, especially since last summer, a lot of people just don't want to make that leap into buying a new home because that's a big commitment.
Now we saw the stock market dive on that. Really, Dow was down about 60 right after the data, down about 30 now, coming back a little bit. Let's move on. Let's talk about jobless claims because that was the other big surprise this morning. What's going on with jobless claims?
I don't know. The short answer is I'm not sure. And of course, there's a lot of seasonal factors because Easter was earlier, and it's very hard to. The hardest thing that economists have to do is do weekly seasonal adjustments. I mean, people have done their doctorates on trying to figure out how to do that, But even still, even if you allow for that, they've just been creeping upwards since January. And when you do what was important about this claims number or this week was that it corresponds with the Labor Department survey for April payrolls. And it's about, I think, 20 or 30,000 higher claims level is than the corresponding March period. So it means that 120 we got in March, we're probably going to see that again in April.
Really?
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
Well, and it's disappointing because, we had been hoping that maybe the U.S. economy was getting into, with enough momentum that we would see, a 200, 250 a month, 2,000 a month job increase. And now people are saying, well, it looks more like it's 150, 175. And while that's positive, people are getting jobs, it's just not enough to bring down the jobless rate.
How concerned should we be? Are sort of the alarms going off more and more as these weekly numbers come in?
Yeah, I'm not about to, say, oh, the recovery's over with, or even that we're going to be in this growth recession type thing. But I think we have to realize that because of the past drags that we still had, debt's still a problem, housing's still a problem. It's a GDP that's looking to grow 2.5 instead of 2.5, 3%. And while that doesn't seem, half a point doesn't seem that big a difference, again, it comes back to that half point gets you the job growth that brings down the unemployment rate, and
really
you're not going to get
stokes the
it
engine
now.
and gets the whole thing going. It's interesting because last year we saw much the same thing, right? You saw a lot of strength early on, then it petered out. But last year you really had the excuse of the Japanese earthquake, the Arab Spring. You had a lot going on. We don't have that this year. But we're still seeing the same trend in the data.
Yeah, and part of the seasonal factors do get skewed because of what happened last year. But I will say the one positive is oil prices or gasoline prices have begun to edge down, which is that's somewhat
not by much.
Not by much, but they're not rising.
Yeah.
And so that's a positive for consumers going forward. But you're right. I think part of it was that the mild winter pulled in some of the strength that normally would have happened in the spring, and so the second quarter is looking a lot weaker. But it puts the economy back as the number one issue for the presidential campaign. I will say that.
Right. Escape velocity has not been achieved.
Now
we might start worrying about stall speed. We're kind of between
I'm not
there.
there yet.
I'm saying we might. I'm worried about it.
I know, but that's your job.
I'm always worried about it. But I worry about it. I look for signs of it, so I'm concerned. We have to leave it there. Kathleen Madigan, thank you very much.